You got to check out Wilmot, by the way, Randall. That game is fucking so addicting.
It
does sound like my type of game.
It's like literally just organizing to your heart's desire.
Sounds
pretty
good.
much.
Great.
It's amazing.
Although now I have Animal Crossing to scratch that itch a bit.
You can only
That's
play
true.
that so many hours in a day.
Are you sure?
No.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pursuing Pixels. This is episode number 47, and my name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nolery.
Hey, everybody.
And John Hines.
Hello.
And we're missing DJ tonight, but we're all self-isolated and quarantined.
Yes,
John's over in his closet while his wife is playing Wii, or I was going to say Wii Fit again. That's just so easy to say.
Easy
Playing some Ring Fit. Playing some Ring Fit Adventure, and Randall's out in Seattle, or at least on the outskirts of Seattle.
I'm in Tacoma, buddy. It's a real city. Got like 400,000 people here, man.
Ooh, that's a legit.
Yeah, maybe not that many.
Yeah, but
the region.
but we're
region.
Good deal. But we're all doing well, and hope you're doing well as well, and staying safe and healthy and everything. But we're back as always to talk about some video games, and I guess we can just kind of pick up. We talked a little bit about Forager the last couple weeks, and John, I let him borrow my physical Switch cartridge,
and I will be
I still
returning
gotta
it
get
to
that
you
back.
as soon as we can come into contact with each other.
Jeez, that's true.
As soon as I can wipe your grubby paws off that cartridge.
Put a Clorox wipe to that Switch cartridge. Maybe it won't taste bad anymore.
Oh, it'll be nice and clean.
But I think you even got further than I did, John. I don't know about as far as like time, because I just got sucked into all the just like maximizing the gathering and crafting mechanics. But how were the dungeons and the rest of the game? It seems like you pretty much got through the whole thing, or at least saw a lot of what the game has to offer.
Yeah, I did. I didn't get as many skills as you. I think you were pretty close to maxing out the skills that you get from leveling up. But I reached a point where like I was finishing the dungeons and I was unlocking all the mechanics where like the most enjoyment I got out of the game was from unlocking things.
Sure.
And so what I ended up doing was, there are some like boons that you can get that like will sacrifice your max health and just give you a level up. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try to blast through this game and unlock everything and just see that. Like normally, I'd try to like max out everything and try to get everything as high level as you possibly can. But I'm like, I just want to see everything in this game.
Right.
So I like ended up with a game like at one point I think I had like 7 hearts and I got rid of all of them except for the base number 3. Then like because I was also powerful enough, like unlocking stronger weapons and everything, that like I was one-shotting pretty much every enemy anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I never went into the dungeons, but it was like you didn't need to be. You were pretty powerful. I actually don't think I ever had more than 4 hearts, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I just kept choosing to level up my. Did you ever make the spirit orbs and craft those, John?
I never made one, but like I encountered a lot. I also like you unlock this area where you bring in like the different items. It's kind of like a museum or a collection area.
Yeah,
and I maxed out that and I unlocked everything.
I still haven't done that yet, actually, despite my obsession with like the collecting and everything. I actually still haven't completed all that.
Yeah, and like I unlocked every island and completed most of the dungeons, like
nice.
And I got to the point where like you can at some point you can actually craft land, and I started filling in all the holes. Yeah.
Oh, just the patches of land. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like I've actually been filling in all those little holes with bridges just to like make it easier to traverse there's sometimes in the little islands there'll be like a little, like mini lake, or even just like one tile that's a water tile, and I'll just like plop a little bridge in there just to be like, I don't want to deal with running around that tile every time.
Yeah.
I thought you meant you could like build new islands like beyond the boundaries. I was like, oh man.
But like, at some point, like I got to the game where I was like, there's not really anything else I want to do in the game, which like, I played it to pretty much its completion, and like I wanted to play it to that point, but like there was a point where, you know, I got to the end and I saw that there were no more worlds to conquer, and I was like, all right, I think I'm done with this game.
I guess this is it.
It was great timing, because at that point, Animal Crossing New Horizons had come out.
Hell yeah.
And it was basically the polar opposite of how I approached Forager, where like Forager was a game that like I didn't need to put down at any point. Like there was always something else to do. There was always a thing that I could just keep playing the game endlessly until like I got to the point where I was like done with the game.
Right.
Yeah, or even like honestly, you could set it down for a half an hour. Like if you had a bunch of stuff crafting, in your plants, not power plants, but your factories and stuff like that. Like you could almost like, I would sometimes like, I'm going to go to the bathroom, or I'm going to make some dinner, and you just leave it on because I know I got a bunch of stuff crafting and it takes a little bit of time. So okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess before we move on fully into Animal Crossing, did you enjoy Forager? I feel like
No, I liked it, but like there was definitely an end point in that game.
How many hours?
I mean, that's the thing, is I also like left it on when I would make dinner. So
true.
like it's I would probably say I put, 10 to 20 hours into it.
Okay.
I think I was at about 20, and again, I didn't really mess with the dungeons, but like I feel like I got a whole game's worth out of fun out of that game. But I'm kind of excited to get that cartridge back and dig into the dungeons. But sorry to go back to that before we go to Animal Crossing.
There is a plan to do like more mechanics are going to roll out and more updates are planned for it. I think there's
like a roadmap right on the menu screen that shows like there's a couple new updates planned that already have, I think, like names and stuff. They don't have dates or anything, but they just say coming soon, and then it looks like there's planning on even more than that. So
awesome.
Yeah. So like the game, like I think will have more content and like, have all these more mechanics and stuff built into it. But I think I'm good on it. I think I've had my time with it and I've enjoyed it.
Nice. Well, I'll keep you posted if anything they add ends up being cool. But why don't we get back to Animal Crossing New Horizons, which I know both you and Randall have been sinking quite a bit of time into.
Oh yeah.
But
it's so good.
With like that comparison to Forager, where like, I got it, and I, being on in Central Time, I think that I had a couple hours before, like when it downloaded at midnight on like the East Coast or wherever, like because the United States has that region lock. I had a digital copy that you could download, and most countries exist in one time zone.
Right.
So as soon as it hits midnight in your country, like you can download it. So once it hit midnight in New York, like it was unlocked everywhere. So you on the West Coast got it like probably at like 8 p.m. or something.
Well, I didn't download it, so that didn't apply to me, unfortunately.
That's right. You had it in the mail.
I did, but I got it for like $38 total because of the Best Buy Gamer Awards thing.
Still milking. I keep feeling like every time you bring it up. Okay, I was gonna say I feel like every time you bring it up, you're like, oh, I gotta get these last ones in, and then I feel like we've almost been doing this podcast for a year now, and you're still like, I got my orders in, got my Best Buy discount. But that's awesome. Was this the last game you received via that discount?
The last one, while I still had it active, but it let me pre-order things that are coming out in the future for Switch still. So there's a handful of things that I grabbed just because that's 20% off. And then with this game, it's like 20% off plus a $10 gift card plus a pre-order bonus. So
heck yeah, that's awesome.
How could I not do that?
Nice.
Yeah, no brainer.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Absolutely.
I love Animal Crossing.
But, so I got it. I think I got it at like 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. So I had a good hour to get an entire day's worth of things to unlock.
Oh,
so
geez,
I unlocked like the first, I unlocked Blathers, which was like the museum tent.
Yep.
And I had that like in an hour of daytime.
That's a big deal.
Had that clock roll over and like, the game. So like when I was going into it, I had that mindset of like, I got to accomplish things. I got to get things done because Animal Crossing does like parse them out. Like you can only unlock so many things in a day. And then when you do, like usually they're building them and it takes an entire day for them to build. So then you
sometimes
don't even,
more.
You don't even get to access it for like an entire 24-hour period.
Yep.
So like, especially like as everybody's posting on social media and like everyone was like, it's like, oh my God, I've got like Blathers is still building the museum and I have all these bugs and fish I can't deposit.
So you're talking a day in real time, correct? Okay, just making sure, because again, in like Stardew Valley, I think it's like some things will take like 3 days of in-game time to build, but like that's like maybe about an hour. I think every day in Stardew Valley is about 20 minutes or so if you play the whole duration of the day.
Right.
So, okay, that I always forget that Animal Crossing is tied to the, real life clock.
Yeah. Which I like. I think that's really like cute, honestly. I like that aspect of it. It feels more lived in and like intentional that like, yes, I'm going to go at 7 p.m. because this specific fish or bug only comes out at that time and in the rain, and I'm going to find it, damn it. Like, that's really cool, I think.
And it seems like it's a nice way to like encourage it to like incorporate the game into your lifestyle almost, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
totally.
I'm playing it before I start work every day, where like I'll wake up and I'm like, all right, I know the stores won't open till 8 p.m., but I got to get out of the house in order to make it to work on time. But I can still, I know some villagers will be awake by that time and some of them won't. And like, I'll talk to those when I get back from work. And it's just I don't know. I love the way that it is a more relaxed, almost by necessity. Like you can't just like do like you can do 24 hours worth of gameplay in it, but like there really isn't that much, especially in the early parts of the game where you're just playing that like whatever is available. Like you only have the original villagers that moved in with you, and then little by little more come in and you're meeting them and you're doing things with them, but like you kind of just make your own fun for the like with the tools you're given.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting, because it's almost like the opposite of Stardew Valley, where you're on that 25-minute timer where you're like, things are still on, like stores open at 9 a.m. and they close at 5, but every hour is going by in a matter of 30 seconds or whatever. I don't know what the math breaks down to, but it's like what I was picturing, like once you get into the flow of like your game state and you've built up your farm a little, you can get the Stardew Valley can become a little bit more of a leisurely game. But like it definitely gets to a point where like at first I'm like, oh shit, I got to get to the store. Oh, it's closed on Wednesdays. Oh man, I can't buy the seeds. I can't play. Like it can get a little frustrating where like Animal Crossing seems like it just breaks that like wide open.
Yeah.
And lets you, almost forces you to like kill time in that game, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, you're kind of gated in a way, but it feels good to me. And yeah, you could be the type that like full bores for 24 hours to do as much as possible, but I think you might ruin the experience for yourself if you do that too much in a game like Animal Crossing. It's meant to be take it in chunks. Maybe you'll play for 3 or 4 hours at a time. Both Tina and I have separate characters, and you play on the same island if you have one Switch, which we do, which has been a lot of fun too, because then like I can send her letters and attach like gifts, like, oh, here's the tools, like you don't have these specific materials to craft a shovel or whatever else, but I do, so no big deal, I'll make an extra for you, so you don't have to be like gate kept by that part of the game. You can go out and do the fun stuff, right? So there's a lot of just
Lauren
that
a ladder
stuff. What's that?
I sent Lauren a ladder so that she could climb the cliffs, because she didn't have that unlocked.
One of those yet, man.
So that brings up a question that I do want to ask, because like is like Tina like really into like the mechanics of like unlocking stuff in it, or is she just looking to like have fun in the game?
She's looking to have fun, and she's really into the mechanic of paying off her damn debt. Like she wants her mortgage paid off.
Gotta get those bells.
Okay, because like one thing that I've seen as like a valid criticism, and like I can totally see for like people who like households where there are like multiple like more dedicated gamers in the and like families where like the main person who like owns on, because you can only have like one island per physical Switch,
right?
So you need to have multiple Switch systems if you want to like each have your own separate island,
right?
But in addition to that, there's like a lot of mechanics that like the second like characters or profiles can't do. Like it's a little bit harder to unlock like certain mechanics because they don't like the main storyline quest, if you can call it that, like really only applies to the first like player's profile. You can't like both be on the island like locally and have people come over online. And
that's a bummer.
It's like there's just like these weird oversights, or like I don't know if they're like on purpose to like incentivize you to have a second Switch, but like
they want you to buy that Switch Lite,
right?
Right.
But like these are things that like do not impact like us at all, because Lauren is not interested in like, you know, doing all these like various things. Like she just wants to make her house look the way she wants and like catch fish, like so she
like
can
enjoy the environment and vibe of the game.
Right, she can play the core like mechanics of the game, but like I've seen a lot of people online who like, you know, either, you know, just because they like their household only has one Switch system, they're like, cool, I basically got half of a game, and because my like partner or my roommate or whatever like bought the game, and like they have all the like access to progressing the story and unlocking new things, and like I just don't. And like it's a bummer.
That's true. Yeah, you are right about that too, because I felt the pressure of like, I need to get Tina these tools, because I'm pretty sure I only got some of those tools because a villager handed them like the materials I needed to me. Right. Or like maybe even one of the tools, but she's not getting those opportunities.
Right.
So like, how is she supposed to get some of these things if I don't help her get them? Like,
it's
weird.
And it's a very weird choice that I don't quite understand. But like, I also like, I don't know if they just ran the numbers and were like, you know what, this isn't going to impact that many people. Like we don't really need, or like we can't physically fit in this much into the physical game cartridge. Maybe we'll just cut that corner.
And even with that impact, like she's still having a ball. Like I think she's played more hours than I have. So it's like this minor complaints ultimately, but like, it's been a blast.
Yeah. Well, Nintendo's still trying to figure out the internet, you know, so it's true. It's a little bit of a shame like, that they're still having these issues.
Put a handicap on them there,
Well, I mean, like, do you guys know if there's any way to like, if you have multiple accounts on your Switch, like if you bought it on your user profile and then Lauren logged in on her user profile and you both actually bought the game, could you both have your own island? So. I mean, obviously, if you only have one Switch, you wouldn't actually be able to play together on each other's islands because you wouldn't be able to play simultaneously.
I think it's literally locked by system. Like,
I think you're right,
man,
because
that is a huge shame. Because I mean, they even if it was as a cash grab kind of situation. Or like a Pokemon, two versions of it. But, if it was like, hey, if you want the full-fledged experience and you want to be able to have the full features, like at least offer that. That seems kind of crazy to me to not have that option. But because again, it probably doesn't affect that many people.
It kind of bummed me out because I was like, oh, it would be sweet if like, some of like Lauren and my mutual friends, like we were playing with them online. And like, I was like, oh, it'd be really nice for like Lauren to go over and visit like Charlotte and see her island, and then like I tried doing it on her profile, and then I realized that I had bought the Nintendo Online subscription through my profile, and it's like, oh, you don't have online capability, and I was like, God, that's such like
that's a bummer.
I upgraded to the family account for that purpose. But only after I bought a single one first, and there's a lot of clunkiness with Nintendo's way they run their business sometimes.
Yeah.
All that being said, this game's sweet though, and I enjoy the fishing, and I've always enjoyed the fishing in Animal Crossing.
I do not overlook the bait, because like I was not using the bait mechanic. The bait is like it just generates like throw it into any body of water and it will just like have a fish appear.
We were messing around with that though, and mostly it's just the same damn sea bass that shows up when we throw the bait out. It's never really anything too interesting.
In different places. The river mouth will give you a different place. The cliffside river will give you a different one. Cliffside pond will give you a different.
Okay.
That's okay. Oh God, I'm so pumped for one, like even the changing of the seasons, which is coming at the end of this month.
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
That'll be sweet.
It's my favorite thing is to just like, see how the environment changes.
Yep.
I've got my orchard already set aside on a little plot of land with everything except pears.
We're going to trade.
I know.
We're going to do a little barter.
Got to coordinate.
It's a beautiful looking game too. I got to be honest. Like I've only played a tiny bit of the DS version. I think it was Wild World, if I'm not mistaken, on DS. But I've got it like I got a DS Lite like way after the fact. Like when I met Randall working at Best Buy, and we started to like just with a few of the people that we worked there with. We kind of started talking games all the time, and I got kind of back into video games. That's kind of what just kind of re-sparked my interest. And like, I remember picking up the DS Lite and just playing a little bit of Animal Crossing, but it was so much after the fact that like I feel like I missed out on that wave of like playing together with friends and just jumping in. Like I keep logging into I don't have a ton of friends on my Switch, like maybe only 10 people, and I keep seeing like up to 6 people all logged in at once, all playing Animal Crossing, and I'm just like, it's impossible to not feel left out. And then again, like even just like, you know, the little like that little, at least in all the trailers, like that little main, like charming little melody. It's like, so, it's not even a song almost, you know, it's like, it's an earworm, but it really isn't. It's more like the type of music that would be on like the Wii Shop channel or something. Like it's like more like that. Is it the same?
He's so good. He wrote all the Wii Shop, the Wii like Me Maker, like
the menu music. Master. It's so amazing. It's so pleasant and like. Yeah, it's just so good. So I'm definitely feeling, and it does look like just everything in this game looks a lot more like fluid. I don't know, it just looks like all the gameplay looks really smooth and streamlined.
It's they've fixed a lot of the clunkiness in the series. It's such a joy to play.
Yeah, you couldn't stack the items originally, could you, in the early games? I don't think.
That's crazy.
Even still, there's still some where like you can't, like for whatever reason, like, you know, clams, even though they're not like classified as a fish or a bug, can't stack.
Yeah, that
and
is
I'm
weird,
like, God,
isn't
that's
it?
so irritating that I have to like catch a bunch of them and then I craft them into bait, which then is stackable.
Right.
Yeah, but there's always quirks and stuff like that with these I don't know, these kind of like open-ended, like almost like simulation style games. Like that's not exactly what I would think of first when I think about Animal Crossing, but it is kind of a sim game, so
you need to live that island life, Kevin. It's real good.
Yeah. I'll get it. And to be honest, I know, Randall, you and I have for the longest time been like big time like collectors of like physical media, but I'm kind of leaning towards, I think I would play this a lot more if I had it digitally, because I know it'd be one of those games that if I buy it on a cartridge, I'll leave it in my system for now and I'll play it with you guys and I'll jump on and enjoy it for however long. But as soon as I move on to the next cartridge game and that comes out of my system, I could just see myself never going back to it. So just because I know how nothing against the game or anything, but just like knowing how I am with my gaming tendencies. But again, depending on how long this quarantine lasts, I might have time to get in there and play some more games. So
just need to have more cartridge slots on the top of that Switch, right? Just put like 5 or 6 wouldn't it be of those guys up there.
Yeah, get a little 6-disc changer in the trunk. Do you guys remember that, where they would have like the disc changer in the trunk of your car?
Man.
Oh, that's how you knew that you were dealing with a baller.
Oh yeah, that's
my dad had one of those. He had an old like Monte Carlo that had it was either a 6 or a 12 disc changer in the car, and it would always like the CDs would skip like crazy. it was like it never worked, or if it was too cold out, it wouldn't work properly. It wouldn't register the disc. And then obviously you can't just be like, oh, let me listen to something else.
Yeah.
You just had to, let me pull over. Obviously, we would just put on the radio or something.
You didn't shell out for that disc protection, man. They get a little of that skip protection on there.
I know. I should Best Buy. I thought it was a scam all this time, that consumer protection, but I guess not. What was it, the PCP plan or the PDP plan? I forget what it was called.
PDP. Yeah, one of those.
Whatever it was. Who cares?
Yeah.
But I guess are you guys good to wrap up Animal Crossing there for now? I'm sure we'll be talking about it in the weeks to come. Yeah. But if you guys had more, feel free to tack it on.
Tack on in the future.
Yeah, we'll come back.
Craft on in the future.
Perfect. Well, Randall and I played a little bit of the newest Slay the Spire run. It's been a little bit, or Slay the Spire update, I should say. I played about a half of a run, if that. Played like the first like chunk of levels or the first act, and I think you played a full run with the new character, the Watcher. Was it
the Watcher? Yeah. So I'm really liking the gameplay. I know we talked about Slay the Spire in the past, and at least for me, I was really into the Silent was kind of my main character, and each character legitimately has like a pretty different play style. I would agree.
And different mechanics, all different cards. You know, obviously you have your basic attack and defense cards in each deck, and this is kind of like a roguelike dungeon crawling deck building game, I guess. I love this new update. I'm really into even just like the art style, or like, you know, the design of the new character. I just really like the style, and then just the way like the main mechanic is like you have, at least from what I've seen so far, there's 2 different stances. You have like a wrath stance and a calm stance. And when you're in your calm stance, whenever you leave that stance, which some of your cards will just say leave this stance, or when you just switch from calm to wrath, that would be you leaving that stance.
Right.
You will gain 2 extra like mana to use your turn. Nice. And then when you're in a wrath stance, all of your attacks do double damage, but then vice versa, you take double damage from enemies. So it's all about, risk reward, but also about just like juggling which cards you use first. There's a lot more of like the cards playing off one another. If the card you played before this card is an attack, then this is another attack, but also get another mana back. Or like a lot of the cards also that I've gotten throughout the run will be like, play this card for 4 defense now, and then also shuffle this new card into your deck. Right. And a lot of, there's like the normal like exhaust mechanic where like after you play a card, you use it, but there's also a new, I think it's new, that retain mechanic where you sometimes will have maybe not.
It might be.
I don't know. I don't recall it coming across that, but maybe that's because I'm only playing with the silent all the time. But it's kind of set up where like if you don't play that card this turn, it'll stay in your hand until the next turn. Yep. And then like I was able to get this power up, so I'm still in the middle of this run. I didn't lose or anything. I beat the first boss and then just saved my run.
Did the same.
But I actually have it. Yeah, I actually have it to where I have this power card that every turn I get 1 more mana, and then that number goes up by 1 every turn. So like the first turn it usually start each turn with 3 skill points to use or mana points to use. Then the next turn I will have 4 points to use. Then the next turn I'll have 6 points to use. Then the next turn I'll have 9 points to use. So it adds 1, then 2, then 3, exponentially.
That's amazing.
Going up. So like by the final turn I had against the first boss, I think I had like 12 mana points. Jeez. And then again, you're able to like
you run out of cards
switch
first.
Stances.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're able to like switch stances and like get even more and just like it was awesome. I was just like laying waste, not necessarily to the boss. Like it wasn't like I was like a wrecking force, but it was feeling pretty good. And I'm excited to finish out this run. And I'm definitely excited to like unlock the different tiers of this character, because there's usually new cards and relics and abilities that end up becoming available. But what do you think of the character? I've been just rambling on for like 5 minutes here.
You're rambling because it's great. No, I really like the Watcher as well. I think that's one of my favorite characters. I think she does, like you said, look really cool. And yeah, this is another game I own physically, so there's a natural tension happening now between Slay the Spire and Animal Crossing. Where I'm having to flip between the two. So that kind of reinforces the point that you made earlier. But I got a discount on both of them, so that's got to help for something. But yeah, there's actually apparently more stances. There's like a divinity stance that I tried to get into, but I don't think I have enough cards in my deck to like reach the divinity stance. Like you have to build it up over time in a given combat. So I'm not exactly sure what that does. Yeah, I've only really encountered Wrath and Calm, but it's really cool. Like, say you start a turn in Calm, knowing that, like you said, once you exit Calm, you're going to get 2 more of the mana or whatever they call them to spend on cards or combats that turn. So I see that I'm in Calm, but I also see there's a couple of cards in my hand related to do, say, like 11 damage to a given enemy. But I don't want to necessarily, even though I have the mana to do it now, I don't want to stay in Calm because that's 11 damage. But if I flip over to the Wrath stance, I will now do 22 damage from that card just using the same amount of mana. So yeah, it becomes this big puzzle with the cards that are in your hand to say like, okay, I'm in Calm now. I jump out of Calm. I get 2 more mana. I go into Wrath. I hit him really hard. And maybe I have 1 more card that lets me hit him and then change my stance or exit my stance so that I'm not left wide open next turn to get hit for double damage myself. And it's this like push and pull with this character that makes every turn super interesting. So yeah, like you said, I'm excited to get more cards and build out that deck and go through further runs. It's really good.
Yeah,
That
I would
sounds
say
great.
it's probably the most strategic of all the characters, at least from what I've played. Like, it was definitely like each turn. Again, it takes a little bit of time to get used to each character and what cards you have in your deck, and what cards that character has. Like, all of these cards, apart from your basic attack and defense, are all new. Like, this stance mechanic is a totally new mechanic. No other character can do this. So, like, it's definitely, it takes a little learning curve, but I feel like they've also, with this update, again, maybe, I don't even know 100% for sure if I notice it, but some of those cards that I was mentioning where it'll be like a secondary, like if the card you played before this was an attack, then there'll be a secondary, like you might weaken the enemy. But I feel like once you've played an attack, that card will kind of have like a yellow border. There's something that card like kind of will stand out in your hand as like, this
to show that it'll have an added effect
right now. I can't tell for sure. It might just have a yellow border anyways because it's that type of card.
Right.
But for some reason, it always catches my eye when I'm able to use it. So I can't tell if that's just me seeing the yellow border. I'll have to double check that. I might just be talking out of my ass.
No, but it's those little touches that makes Slay the Spire so good. Like those little UI elements that like just help you push through the game and make quick decisions because you have all the information right in front of you. And
for
once
as
you get used to
complicated
how things look, it's just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. For as complicated a game as it is pretty easy to grasp. Like even with all the different mechanics, like once you like get in, like it's like I think it's pretty user friendly.
Yeah,
especially with a controller, like for a game that was definitely designed to play on PC. And again, I'm sure it would play really great with a controller or with a mouse and hovering over the different cards to see with all the ability. Like it would probably play a little smoother like that, I guess. But it plays perfectly great with a controller. And I think we even mentioned on a previous podcast, I haven't done it in a while, but the touchscreen controls work great too. Like swiping the cards and it feels great.
Yeah, it does.
But I could definitely see like where there's like this card will do this damage and apply weak and change your stance and this. Like that would be nice to maybe just hover over the cards really quickly and see what all those different buffs and whatnot do. But again, it once you get used to and learn the different cards that each character has to offer, like it's hardly even I don't know, it doesn't hinder my progress at all.
No,
so
for sure,
or hinder my enjoyment, I should say. But
I want to play a lot more of that. Like talking about it now, it just makes me want to go pop that cartridge back in. And
I know.
Finish
I see this one. I don't have the cartridge, so I can fire it up at will. I'm playing some right now, actually.
Nice to be able to save the run and quit. That is very helpful.
Yeah, at any time, I think, right? At any turn, you can just pause, save the run, and pick it up right where you left off. So, well, one more game that we're going to talk about tonight that you cannot actually do that in, to the best of my knowledge. But I've been playing some Exit the Gungeon, which I think we've never actually like talked about Enter the Gungeon on the podcast, but
referred to
we've definitely mentioned it. Like DJ Glenn, our buddy Glenn, and I've put over 90 hours in on my Switch and probably well over 50 on my PS4 where I had it first.
Yeah.
And I just figured like, this is like the perfect game to kind of lay in bed and play.
Right.
I was just so hooked on it. And again, it always helps when you have like, kind of like we were talking with Animal Crossing, like having friends that are also playing the game. And we were just talking about, hey, did you beat it with this character? Oh, I just beat it with this character. Right. I got to the final boss. Like there was just so much back and forth between the three of us. Like I was so hooked on that game. And, Exit the Gungeon, which is the follow-up, came out back when I think it came out right when they released Apple Arcade. I can't remember if it was available at launch, but it was definitely available on Apple Arcade up until now. And then after the Nintendo did their like kind of Nintendo Direct, it's like the Indie World version of Nintendo Direct. I guess they're not technically called Nintendo Directs, but the Indie World Showcase or whatever that they did.
Right.
After that, at the end of that, they announced that Exit the Gungeon was going to be live, at the end of the presentation.
Nice.
And this is basically the same, it's another bullet hell roguelike shoot 'em up, but you're basically on an elevator that's going up, and instead of being like a top-down twin stick shooter, it plays like a side-scrolling platformer twin stick shooter. You still have a lot of the same, like the same exact mechanics, essentially. Like you have your dodge roll, your blanks, which are like a, screen clearer that you can collect a number of, or like you can get them by beating bosses and whatnot. That'll like, wipe out all the bullets on the screen. But then you also have like your jump also acts as a dodge roll. So like in the original game, if you're during the dodge roll animation, which is just kind of like a dash essentially, but you do like a dodge roll, and during that animation, you're invulnerable. And same thing when you're jumping in this game. So the whole time while you're in the air, you're invulnerable.
Wow.
And then you can jump and then do a dodge roll midair. So you have two different, it does take a little getting used to because you're using kind of the shoulder buttons to jump.
Okay.
You don't have to do that. But it does, since you at least for me, you don't even have to use the right stick to aim. You can technically use the left stick, but there's no way to stand stationary and aim if you're not using the right stick.
Yeah.
So like I do find myself kind of alternating between the two. I'm still trying to get comfortable with the control scheme.
Yeah.
But if you've ever played stuff like Bleed, use like a lot of there's a handful of different. I've talked about Overwhelm on the podcast too. Like they all use that similar like all shoulder buttons and then joysticks.
Jump on the triggers is always hard for me to get used to. That's the tough.
It's a little weird. Well, the weird part is that you're doing it on for this game, and in most games that I've played at least that utilize that, you're using one of the right triggers to shoot. And then on top of that, so you're having to use one of the left triggers to jump.
Oh, geez.
And like just something about like hitting a button with my left hand on a controller just doesn't feel right. At least
jump,
to me,
especially. Yeah,
yeah. It's a little odd.
So also like with a twin stick like 2D shooter, like with one button mapped to shoot, is that like, are they still like managing ammo, or is it like just holding that down as a constant?
So you to the best. So that's actually one gripe I have with this game. So in Enter the Gungeon, there's all kinds of crazy guns, and same thing with Exit the Gungeon. But it kind of works more like Super Crate Box. Like you don't actually collect like crates to get new weapons, but basically like you get a weapon, and when it runs out of the ammo it has, you just automatically switch to the next weapon, and it's just kind of like on a random cycle. And some of the weapons are like you have to keep like actually clicking the trigger to keep firing. Most of them you can hold them down, but then some of them are like you have to actually like hold it down for a pretty long time to like charge it up to fire. And though I cannot stand those weapons, so I'm hoping there's some kind of custom mode or something where you can like shut some of the weapons off or something to that effect. Because there are a few that just I just hate when I get them, and I've only beaten the first boss a couple of times. I would almost say it's more difficult than the original, which the original is no pushover by any means. Like I said, I put like about 90 hours.
Some
into
might
that
say
game, and
prohibitively difficult.
I don't know. I think it's great, but I really love that game. But
I never got into the Enter the Gungeon, mostly due to just me not being good at it.
I definitely kind of the initial like bug that got me was playing co-op with DJ and Glenn.
Sure.
And then like when they both picked up the game individually, and then we started talking about it and stuff like all the time, like it just was like the perfect storm, I guess, where I was just hooked on it.
Yeah.
But even before they were into it, it was like that and Downwell were the games that just got me so hooked on like this roguelike genre where it's all about like mechanics and like you're kind of the hand that you're dealt a little bit, but like kind of being flexible with like, okay, I guess these are the weapons I have right now. I guess this is going to be my play style for this run.
Because those are also like on the more arcade-y like side of like roguelike. So you're not like so much like becoming increasingly more powerful. It's just like you getting a better handle of the mechanics and getting better on individual runs.
Yes, those are like without question my personal favorite roguelikes. Like I think that's been like a great, like there's another game called Streets of Red, which is just like a beat 'em up roguelike, like an arcade side scrolling beat 'em up brawler, but it uses like you collect coins, and then you can at the end of levels and stuff you can buy upgrades and stuff, but you can also use those coins to like you get another life if you die. So like it really kind of like truly incorporates that like arcade mechanic and mental, like it like gives you that like pumping in the coins, and it lets a game have that like arcade sense of difficulty without feeling so cheap, because like you can beat not all these games, but like a Downwell run is like 20 minutes, or an Enter the Gungeon run, once you get good enough at at it and you're beating it on a regular basis is like 45 minutes. So it's not like this huge, long experience, you know? So I just got really sucked into these mechanics and exit the Gungeon. It doesn't seem like there's a co-op mode, which is a little bit of a bummer. It looks like it's only single player, and like each of the characters has like different sets of levels. There's a little bit of overlap, but it seems like each character kind of has its own path up out of the Gungeon. And there's some cool mythology. I love the pixel art. I love like the vibe and style of the game. I don't really, I'm kind of feel like I'm coming across a little more negative than I want to, because I'm definitely looking forward to playing more of this game. But and it's only $10, which was nice too.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, especially considering that it's free, or not free, but it's included with your Apple Arcade subscription. So, which is only, I think, $5 a month. It's super cheap for Apple Arcade, I think. So
yeah.
But yeah, I definitely still recommend it and am enjoying this game so far. I'm hoping that either DJ or Glenn or somebody else gets kind of hooked on it too, so I can get re-immersed in that the same type of experience again. But we'll see. But I intend to play more. It's just been a little too intense for the mindset I've been in lately. Especially, it's just been, there's enough stress going on in the world. I don't need to add more into my gaming.
Definitely not.
So. Yeah, like I said, it's that's probably why Animal Crossing is speaking my language a little bit more right now.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. You guys feeling good to wrap it up there this week?
Yeah.
Feels good to me, man.
Nice. Perfect. Well, as always, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter. You can find our at /Pursuing Pixels. You can find us at pursuingpixels.com. We have new episodes of the podcast every Monday. And until next Monday, we'll catch you then.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
So before we start recording, I have something to get off my chest.
Yeah.
So in the last aired podcast, I fucked up. I fucked up bad. So, Kevin, do you remember when you're like, NBA 2K21, like, that's the game I've got? I'm like, oh, yeah, for sure. That's totally the game you got. No, that game isn't out yet. I was talking out my ass. It was 2K19 and 2K20. I was confused. And I should know because I play that fucking game like every other day. But
I thought you said
2K20 on the... Did you say 20 on the podcast?
I said, so I did play 20. I played the demo of 20, but then I also said, like, I swear I said something about, like, 2K21 and, like, they're being, like, a year ahead or whatever. I'm almost positive I said something like that.
I thought you, like, mentioned that, but, like, I don't think you ever mentioned it in the context of you playing 21.
Okay.
I
thought you just said it was coming out, or maybe you might have said it was out already or something.
The conversation was about you playing 20.
Right, and I played the 20 demo, but I'm still really playing 2K19.
Oh,
so I got confused because I thought I had moved on, and that's because I played a lot of 2K18 on Switch. So my years were off there.
Gotcha.
So were the original...
Do you want to make an addendum?
No, like, so was every game... was every time that you were talking about it prior to last episode, were you referring to 2018?
No.
2K18?
No.
Okay.
Legitimately, that was 2K19.
Okay. So this time when you talked about 20, you were still talking about 19.
Besides the part when I was talking about the demo, that was about 2K20. And otherwise, when I'm playing the game and winning the championships, I was talking about 2K19.
Okay, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's my bad. Because I think I might have put 2K20 in the episode.
Which is fine, because I did play that and I talked about it.
Okay.
Do you want to make like a little, at the beginning of this podcast, a little Forager style apology?
No, I figured what we just did would probably work better. I kind of wanted to spring it on you guys, so.
Yeah, just put that at the beginning of the episode.
I'll be able to chop that out for sure.
Nice. Dear listeners, I come to you hat in hand.
As an idiot.